It must not have been an easy task to look after a sector that comprises 70% of our population. How do you look back at your journey, and do you think in these 2 years you've done enough to change the lives of this visible minority, which is a majority?
I don't think anybody can ever do enough. When I got this ministry, it had no roadmap at all. So we then divided it up. What we divided in was women's nourishment, women's safety, and women's advancement. Now, in the areas that we've worked in, let's take them one by one. In women's safety, there are several key things that we have done, which will show up maybe after a year, maybe after 2 years, but they're long lasting. The first thing we did was make one-stop centers. And this year we will make 150. Wherever we have made these centers, thousands of women have gone to them and gotten relief. These are centers which any woman who's been molested, hurt, raped, stalked, even domestically assaulted can go, and there will be a nurse, a doctor, a counselor, a police person, a lawyer, and all of them will work for her free to see that she gets justice. The second thing we did was, which was really a life-changing thing, was to get 33% of women into the police. Now this has been accepted by 7 states and all the UTs. And this has had a salutary effect on not just sensitizing the police, but making women feel safer with them. The third thing we did was training of sarpanches. This is an ongoing program, it's just started. We have 200,000 sarpanches in India who haven't a clue of what to do. So now we are training them on how to look after their villages, how to be politically and properly sarpanches, right from knowing the structure of cement and bricks, to making nalis, to caring for the widows, to making sure the girls go to school. So this has been one more brick. The other thing we've done, which we're now setting up, is the women police volunteer. One woman in each village will be chosen by the SP and trained by him. We'll keep a check on everything that happens in the village. The woman will be over 21, and she will check whether girls again are going to school, whether any man is beating his wife, whether there's going to be a person who's below underage getting married, whether there's a dowry problem. All these things she keeps a check at, and she reports to the police directly. More important than all of them, which will come into being on the 1st of January 2017, is the panic button. And that is in every cell phone. After all, there are 20 crore, 30 crore cell phones available. 34%, I'm told, of rural India has, and every day more and more people get them. But if we have put a panic button in each one, in which if a woman is being chased or hurt, she can just put her finger on that button, keep pressing it, and the police will then react. So this is the safety side. Now let's come to the women's side, the advancement. We have a program called STEP, in which we give money to train 200 women at a time and to get them jobs, whether at home or going outside. For the first time, we have something called the E-Mahila site, and I'm very proud of this one because it's the first time government has ever stepped in to help anybody, whether young people, men or women, actually sell their products. What we're doing is, if anybody goes to the site, you can see that we have lakhs of women. Anybody making anything from laddus to doing mehendi to doing anything at home and wants to sell either the goods or the services can put it on the site, and there will be a direct interface between her and the buyer. So this women's entrepreneurship is starting. Within a year, when we've got 5-6 lakh women on it, everyone will be given a vote, and that vote will make something called the Women's Entrepreneurship Council. I want this council to be as important as ASSOCHAM, FICCI, because there is no women's council. So if these women will elect their own leaders, and those leaders will be taken seriously by the government on all matters concerning women and their economic advancement.
Now these are the things that you've done on the side of women's empowerment. Coming to the other part of your ministry, which concerns children, the single most important highlight of your 2 years has been the passage of the Juvenile Justice Act, which has allowed adult trial of juvenile criminals, and also the fact that adoptions have been made much easier now, and children's homes are also required to be registered now. Looking back, have you set up monitoring mechanisms to know whether the law is working?
The monitoring mechanisms are up, but more importantly, for the first time in 50 years, we've got a huge exercise going on to check the children's homes, to see whether they're actually children's homes or they're just detention centers. That exercise will be over next month, and after that we will know what to do with each one. We have also got foster care, which is that you don't have to adopt a child, but you can foster them. About 3,000 to 4,000 children have been fostered already, and we've got those mechanisms in place. We have better nutrition now going in for them, and I'm planning a big nutrition thrust. This year I'm going to be doing trafficking and nutrition are my two big areas where we put in systems. In trafficking, the first step we took was to put posters in the railways. Now the railways inform us, have resulted in thousands of phone calls being made that we've seen a child, the child looks as if it's lost or it's being kidnapped, and then people come in and pick them up. We have also worked on something called Child Line. Now Child Line was invented by me 20 years ago, and now I have it back. In the middle it had slumped a bit, but now we have over 402 Child Line centers. These will become 500 by the end of the year. And we monitor them so closely that if we get a call of a child has had an accident or it's on the road and they want to be brought in, after using the phone 1098, we follow it till the last minute. Has the team set off? Has it picked it up? Where is the child? Every year we are saving literally, I would say, about 25-30 lakh children in the last 2 years. So one, we've got these railway things up. Two, there's Child Line. Trafficking, there's going to be a big meeting now between us, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, because these are the three states that need to cooperate with each other when it comes to trafficking. Apart from that, we've had a spectacular success in Beti Bachao. When I got the program, Beti Bachao was started in order to make people realize that there should be as many girls to as many boys in any district. The western part of India is moving towards having less children. And when they have less children, they want 2 boys, a girl and a boy, whatever. So the abortions, the killing is far more in the west part of India. So we wanted to make them understand that girls are as important as boys. And we also needed to find out why and what we could do to change. So we started this program, and in the beginning, we took it 100 districts, which were the worst in India. 830 girls to 1,000 boys, which means 170 girls disappeared every year per 1,000. That's millions and millions being killed. And I thought that if we did really well, we would get to 850, 860. We haven't. We've done much, much better. So we've moved from 830 in the worst districts to 907, which means by this year, if all goes well, we should really get to on-par situations.
Coming back to the legislative agenda of your ministry, there's been an ongoing debate about whether the non-constitutional bodies in most of the North India, which are the Khap Panchayats, which continue to dictate terms at village level. We hear of, these panchayats sanctioning violence against women all the time. On the one hand, the courts are stepping in to ensure that women are protected. On the other hand, you have these parallel panchayats running unconstitutionally. There has been a pending law and a debate about honor crimes. Do you plan to take this issue up? Is it close to your heart?
No, I haven't actually applied my mind to this, only because in Haryana, simply by talking to the Khap Panchayats, which are the only state in which they exist.
They exist in UP?
Much less. They exist in the western side of UP, which is adjacent to Haryana, in the Jat areas. But many of them came forward and completely changed their attitude, which is why we were successful in Haryana in getting girl children born. So it's not impossible to change them if the DM, the local administration, takes some interest. It's just that till now, none of them had involved the panchayats. They treated them as enemies, and so they've become enemies. But with little retraining and involvement, they actually supported us hugely in making this program a success. So I see no reason to go through the legislative route. I think it would be easier to go through another program which we could do on honor killing and involve them again.
Now a little contentious issue related to marital rape.
Yeah.
It's been in debate for a while now, and you had earlier on said in Rajya Sabha it's not suitable for...
I'm glad you brought that up. I actually didn't say it, and it's not my attitude. What had happened was I was not here, and nobody in the ministry in those days paid attention to an unstarred question. So it went in as a cut and paste job from something that had come out in the Home Ministry some years ago. So as soon as I came back, I was so annoyed by it that I changed the answer in the Rajya Sabha. Now the point is that women, of course, are subjected to marital rape or violence. But there is an act of domestic violence that takes care of it. Now, I can't do anything. We looked at figures here and we asked the police, how many complaints do you get for marital rape under the Domestic Violence Act? And it's none. So women don't complain. So unless they complain, it's difficult, if there was such a huge amount of complaining like there is in rape, as there is in dowry, then it's easier for me to take this and make a legislative issue out of it. But there isn't any.
Well, we are told the Law Commission is looking at this issue.
The Law Commission is looking at this issue, but I'm just saying, where do you want to go? Quite frankly, for me to make a law is simple. I know there is violence. I know there is marital rape. The point is, how do I prove it?
So what you're saying essentially is that under the Domestic Violence Act, since marital rape is recognized as violence.
It is, yes.
About the missing children, Maneka ji, it's a huge issue. You have actually started looking at this issue from the trafficking perspective. And if we look at the J.S. Verma committee report, that said that one child in India goes missing every 8 minutes, which is a shocking statistic. And they had also recommended something like a census for missing children with, the police units being involved all over the country, because we actually don't have data that tells us what is the exact number of children missing. We have conflicting reports all the time.
True.
You put up a Khoya Paya website. How has it done and what is your plan on this?
The main carriers of missing children are the railways. So as I told you before, we've got now posters up in the railways. 2, we've got Khoya Paya, in which anybody can put up a missing child, and anybody who's seen a similar sort of child can put up a picture. Several thousand children have been saved through it. It is quite true there is no census of missing children, which is why there should be one. But now we are working with different states, starting with Tamil Nadu, on putting up these state registers of how many children go missing. And hopefully within a year, if you ask me the same question, I'll be able to tell you how many states have done it.
Any plans for the coming year or just consolidation?
This year, of course, our major plans are trafficking of children and women. I'm going to train those 2 lakh Sarpanch women. I have to tell you this. We did our first training of 40 Sarpanches at a time in Jhalawar. And these women came with their husbands quite predictably, and they all came with gungats. And so we got the husbands out, because that's the whole problem. So the husbands were put into a room and given a cup of tea, and they sat there the whole day. And these women were educated on how to be actual leaders of that village and how to look at everything. It's a 3-day training program. At the end of 3 days, not only were they enthused because they learned bookkeeping, they learned everything, but they also wanted an app to communicate with each other on what they did. So we are now designing an app for just Sarpanches to communicate their problems and triumphs. Or you can do it a slow and steady way, in which maybe during my tenure, just I lay the bricks, and these will flourish and go into something like, for instance, when I started Childline. It was nothing. I started in 1998. And now it is saving millions of children. But it's taken its time. The same way with adoption, the same way with foster care, the same way with training Sarpanches, the same way with improving nutrition. Now we are training Anganwadis this year. We've got those women police volunteers, the one-stop centers. All these are different bricks. The Mahila huts, they're huge. None of them are small programs. They're programs that take a lot of time to mature. But once then, women will breathe easier.
So you're strengthening the bedrock. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.